What up, y'all? Diamond Download. Sorry we missed you last week. I totally forgot. So did Chase. We were just like, I'm just kidding. No, we would never forget about this. It's the most important part of my week here. Chase was busy. What was I doing again?
I think
I
you
don't
were
know.
stuck in calls or something.
Yeah.
Or on a
No, yeah.
flight, maybe. I don't know, something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea what I do anymore. Oh yeah, I was whatever. Anyway, dude, good to see you. How are
Yeah, you
things?
too. It's been too long. Dude, I don't even know what it is. Today's Tuesday. This is my first video call of this week, and I think I did one video call last week. So whenever we don't do video calls, there's a week when I have like no calls.
That's you're unemployed,
Yeah,
basically.
I'm employed. It's amazing.
I wonder what it feels like to be unemployed. We'll
Because
talk about that later though.
you're on calls a lot, aren't you?
Not really. I mean I
Ah,
do this. I do group calls with my students. I do webinars. That's like really just camera time. And I shoot YouTube videos. I'm just a lot of camera time. I'm trying to like slim down so I can look good on camera. Can you tell? I lost like 8 pounds.
you look great. It's all the tennis you're playing.
Yeah, I haven't played tennis actually since I've been back to Miami, so I should get back into that.
Bill, I
Yo,
remembered, which leads me actually into the topic. I was speaking at Roundtable, Commerce Roundtable last week while we were trying to record, and I think you were flying or you were doing something. That's why we couldn't do it.
something like that. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Tell me about what happened there. Tell me maybe what you learned, who you met, what happened. Did you get
Probably,
drunk?
yeah, first off, it was great. Did you see much or anything about it? Did you feel any FOMO? Like, did you see anything?
I
No.
didn't. Oh, no.
Okay. I feel like you're kind of like you had both maybe one foot, potential both feet into like the whole D2C e-commerce thing for a bit. And now you're kind of maybe both feet out, maybe one foot out, where you're kind of now in this other world of just like these young hustlers that are making monies in a ton of interesting ways and just doing cool things. So maybe that's why I felt like in the D2C circle that I'm still in, it was like everywhere. Like it was so loud even after the event that like Klaviyo's IPO last week, I saw way more stuff about Sendlane's Roundtable than Klaviyo's IPO, and that was like a huge deal for the industry. But Roundtable was awesome. It was amazing. Everything from like the hotel room they put me up on. Dude, I was like on the 17th floor, closest room to the water. I had like 270 views of the bay, a little bit of a view of the city. It was incredible. There was about 300 something people. It literally felt like everyone I've been conversing with on D2C Twitter was there. Jimmy Kim obviously was there, Shaq was there, Taylor Holiday. There was just a bunch of people that you see on Twitter. They were there. And then I did a talk with Jimmy on Tuesday. It was like a 45-minute talk. They wanted me to do like a presentation where it was like I was up there myself, just teaching about the basics of email marketing. And like, dude, I'm so over this. Like, I'm done with those. I don't want to do those. They're not fun for me. I've done them a million times. I'm just bored. So Jimmy and I did a roundtable, and to make it a little bit interesting, we didn't prepare. So Jimmy, like literally a few days before, because Shaq got mad at us. Shaq was the MC, and every person there was going through weeks and months of like coaching with him and topics and submitting decks. Jimmy and I didn't do any of that. So like a few days before, Jimmy and I hopped on like a 5-10 minute call. We hashed out a few topic ideas, and we literally got on stage and winged it, and we didn't even know what we were going to talk about necessarily. That we didn't even know there was a deck made for us. Jimmy's team made like a 6 or 7 slide deck for us, and the people that mic'd us up were like, "Who's going to take the clicker for the deck?" We're like, "We don't have a deck. We barely even prepared." And we smashed it, dude. It was so good. It was so fun, and it was so good that Nick is emceeing another event called Grow coming up, and Jimmy has like the primetime sponsor slot. They're now trying to change that talk to me and Jimmy doing a fireside together. So they're trying to convince me to go to this event in LA and speak at like 9:30 primetime slot in a few weeks. So I'm TBD. Anyways, that was kind of the event. We went to great dinners, great people. It was a blast.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you got that. I think you needed that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was cool.
Oh, good to see like the fruit. Okay, so this is one thing I was thinking about. Like everyone thinks you're kind of famous, right? Like you've had some moments where it's like, dude, I see you on Twitter sometimes where like you'll reply to someone and someone will be like, oh my God, Chase Diamond replied to me. And it's like, relax, Chase. But like forget how famous you are in real life. Not that it's like just Chase, but it's like I know you as like regular guy, but
Yeah,
people famous. And so like it's cool to see that like go somewhere where like people can meet you and then sort of give you validation, stuff like that. It feels good.
Dude, it was crazy you mentioned that. So my brother Connor, who obviously you know, he picked me up. We drove to the event on like Monday. We missed like the first part of the day. We showed up around like lunchtime on Monday. Just had stuff going on, and it literally took us 45 minutes to go from the sign-in booth to the lunch table, which was probably 20 feet apart. Just the number of people. I don't know if it's because we were late and everyone had already seen each other and we were just like new faces, but the number of people like swarmed us and came up to us to say hi, like it was insane. It was like the coolest thing ever. And then the next day after my talk, I talked at like 10:30. If we finished like 11:30, whatever it was. Lunch was at noon, and Connor was like, "Dude, we're driving home right now. We're not letting you stay for lunch. If you're staying for lunch, you're going to be swarmed and you're going to be talking to people for hours." And I've never, I mean, again, like I've had these feelings few and far between. Like I don't really leave my house or go to events. Every time I go to events, it's like this really cool rush and surreal feeling that like, wow, just by creating content on the internet and being nice to people and giving, you create like this affinity. And it was really cool. And you know this, but like one of our family friends is married to Miles Teller. And I was just thinking in my head, like, can only imagine being actually famous like Miles Teller. I'm like micro famous in a really, really small industry to like a few people, right? If that. Whereas like
Mhm.
this guy, or you look at what happened the other day with Taylor Swift went to that football game for Travis Kelsey, and like that has been talked about so much. Like, could you imagine like actually being famous and everywhere you go, someone wants something from you? Like, could you imagine? That's insane. Like, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, I don't know that I'd like that.
No, I think that's too famous. Like there's a point where it's like not even fun anymore. I think like you and I wouldn't mind being a little more famous. But like you and I are in like the perfect sort of like zone of fame where it's like, dude, I got recognized when I was in Tampa. Like
So cool.
random guy off TikTok. He was like, "Yo, Mason." I'm like, "What's up, bro?" It's always cool people too. It's never like swarmed or anything. It'd be weird if like if you were like if you had like female fans. Like neither one of us have any female fans, and they're just like freaking out trying to meet you.
Yeah,
So
I've never had that. Most of mine happen to be dudes, and a lot of them in the US, and a lot of them are in Philippines and India, right?
yeah. Oh no, sorry. I hate falling back in this chair. Dude, I bet if you go to India, like you wouldn't be able to go anywhere.
It's
Like
interesting to think about too. Like most of the stuff I do, obviously this is visual and people are seeing me or listening to me. But I think like part of people recognizing you is like the medium in which you're well known on. Obviously, people know you on Twitter and people are starting to know you on Instagram and YouTube. But I think the fact that you're viral on TikTok, like they just see your face, they know your face. Where I think with me, a lot of how I'm going viral is like LinkedIn or Twitter, and people probably have engaged with it in passing. Like, dude, I literally had on a say Tuesday on Sunday night, I posted at like 8 p.m. my time, just like this story about um, Elon Musk's first wife, Justine Musk, answered like this core question about like someone asked if they work hard, will they be a billionaire? And she just really leaned into him. And I kind of just shared like that take on LinkedIn. Dude, it has like 5,000 likes, you know, hundreds or thousands of comments, has hundreds or maybe even a few thousand shares, and it's like 1.2 million impressions, right? So like those 1.2 million people, like if they saw me, they wouldn't probably associate that post and having seen my content with me. Whereas if 1.2 million people watched one of your videos, I think there's probably a more likely chance that someone would recognize you because they saw your face and they listened to you for 5 seconds, 60 seconds. I don't know how long your video. It's 2 minutes. So it's kind
yeah.
of interesting too, like the medium in which you're popular. Like for example, like if you're just a podcaster and you don't maybe have like a video thing, people probably would know your voice like very intimately. But I wonder if they'd recognize you. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on any of that?
Hmm. No, I think it depends. Okay, so you're kind of famous for your brain, and I'm kind of I mean, I guess people like my brain too, but like I don't know. It just attracts a younger audience. Like your audience is just like really solid, like they buy stuff and shit like that. Um, like, dude, I don't know. Would you want to like trade? Like, would you want to be like me famous for like a couple weeks? You probably get recognized like by people that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, I think if I was, maybe single, didn't have kids, was living a lifestyle that you were living, I would want to be you. Like right now, it'd be hard to be you as like a married guy that has kids, that's like doing like the family thing, right? So I think like I know it's funny. I was talking to Jimmy Kim before this about just like he really likes our podcast, and he part of what he likes is just the contrast between like, he got the vibe that all I want to talk about is business, family, and golf. And for you, you want to talk about business and money and travel and watches, right? So it's just like depending on your stage of life and where you're at. So hey, I wouldn't mind being you. I mean, I would love to go viral on TikTok and get that for sure. I'd love to rock the rollie like you're putting on. But I just think there's different stages of life, right? Like I would probably want to be you when I was younger, and hopefully maybe you want to be me when you're older. But again, like it's fun being uniquely ourselves because I appreciate you for you.
Mhm. Yeah, man. I think that we have like we're a good team. We're a good team, and I'm glad I'm here
Yeah.
now.
Are you,
Yeah,
are
man.
you, are you wearing two Rolexes, by the way? I just saw you put that on.
Yeah, I'm
Looking
just gonna
sharp.
put them on. You anyway, as you were saying, okay, dude, let's talk about the Klaviyo IPO real quick.
Yeah.
Uh, your thoughts on that? Did you buy some?
I didn't buy any. I've been watching it. I haven't checked it out today. It was interesting that they opened at $30 a share, which they, from what I understand, matched their private valuation. The problem with like most IPOs, from what I understand, is like in the private markets, companies are raising at like ridiculous multiples and valuations. And in the public markets, they typically get destroyed and hammered and slash their value. Klaviyo was supposed to raise, I think, or go public at a slightly lower valuation, but they ended up going public at I think the exact value in which they were privately. And they've kind of been like all over the place between like $30 a share where they opened upwards to almost 40. And right now today it's sitting at $34. So if you had bought it at opening at $30, you would have made, I think, a little north of like 10% of your money so far. So I think it's been interesting. Um, Obviously I'm a little biased in Team Senlin, but Klaviyo's done a great job. I think they've built a great thing. They've paved the way for the ecosystem. I'm kind of curious to see, what happens from there. Have you been watching it? Have you bought anything? What's your thoughts?
No, not at all. Dude, honestly, I I I use Klaviyo because I have to. All my stuff's on there, but I
Yeah.
do not like Klaviyo. I don't like what they've done with like, bro. When we were using it at the agency, like at Structured, like that era, like 2021 Klaviyo was great. It
Yeah, it was
was
amazing.
like I just knew it really well. It seemed way more reliable. And I saw, well, there was a brand, I can't remember who it was, but I saw the founders, like this female founder who talked about how they had like an email outage. I'm pretty sure it was Klaviyo's fault.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't read the story. I'm blanking on her name. She runs Wonderment. I forgot her name. She was really cool, very nice. Talked to her a couple times. I don't know if it was Jess or Jessica. I'm probably butchering it, but she herself is really cool. And I did see that post, but I didn't read too much into it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like they're just not very reliable anymore. Like the product has slipped a lot. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, it was Jessica. Yeah, her name was
Yeah.
Jessica. Yeah, I saw that thing she posted about. Yeah, it's definitely different, man. Definitely different. I can't say who, but I met some ex Klaviyo employees, and they were just kind of telling me about certain things at the internal works of Klaviyo. A few of the things they shared, which again, I don't know if these were all truth or some was true, some was not, but like you can't have like a side hustle. Like when you sign up at Klaviyo, like you're all in at Klaviyo. There's certain things that you can't do outside of work, which was kind of interesting that like they are like very controlling. Some places say that, but I literally think like in their contract it said that from what I heard. Another thing too was like they're very cheap and a little bit stingy with budgets. Like one of these guys wanted to reward one of his team members with like a $300 gift card for hitting some milestone, and Klaviyo kept saying no, or like it was going to take so long. They had to write up this really formal report, almost like a police report, like just a ridiculous report, and then they'd get approved potentially, and it was going to take like weeks and months. So this guy just took $300 out of his own pocket and just gifted it to the guy. So like I've just heard some interesting things, like being on the receiving end of trying to get paid for them from sponsoring things. Like it's just a process. So they've just gotten big and corporate, and I don't really like that. I think some people do. It's kind of like this interesting thing right now where like I think the users of Klaviyo kind of went from loving it to being whatever about it to not liking it. But like investors or kind of PE or finance folks seem to like Klaviyo as a business, like their stock. So it's kind of interesting, like the parallels. Like the people that now like them are like the finance folks, whereas the people that used to love them were their users.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I mean, dude, it leaves more room for Senley to do their thing.
100%.
Stoked for Jimmy, dude.
Yeah, me
I
too.
feel like we talk about him all the time, and I've never met him. I don't think I've only talked to him a handful of times. But
Yeah,
like,
he's probably our most mentioned guest, and maybe Ben's close second, or maybe Ben's first. But I think Jimmy might take the cake.
I think Jim. Yeah, I don't think Ben listens to us though.
Maybe that's his problem.
Yeah, if you can learn a thing or two by listening to us.
Yeah.
All right, dude. So the next topic, it's two topics that we'll kind of just combine into one because we've already been going for like 20 minutes. Wow. So the $1 billion play. And the reason this is in my mind right now is because I've recently in Miami started hanging out with more people that have like family money. And I've never really experienced that before. Like every person that I've met up until now is like self-made, right? It's young kids between like 20 and 25 or maybe even 30 who found a little lane online. They made a couple million, maybe high as 10 million, but no one who's ever in the realm of like 50, 100, 500 million
Yeah.
from family. And so it got me thinking because I met a guy on Saturday. I'll tell you after exactly who it was, but he was the son of a guy who is worth 80 plus billion dollars.
Wait, 80 billion, not million.
Billion.
His
And I know
dad is
I know
wow.
you I know you think that if someone's worth around 80 something billion that you've heard of them. You haven't heard of the guy, but you've heard of three of the companies that he started or invested in.
Interesting. And
Um,
was it his dad? I'll ask you more about it, but was it his dad who started it or his grandpa? Wow.
so this guy was in his 40s. And
Dang.
I super like normal guy. He's interesting, but normal. Like he wasn't like what you would think the son of a billionaire would be. Super chill. And it just got me thinking, I was like, dude, there's so much money and it's you can't compete. Like right now, you and I, we do very well, but we are not family money level. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
not at all.
parents, my dad's a cop, my mom was a teacher before she retired. So I don't have anything like that. And I think the idea now that I have in my head is like, what is it going to take for me to get to that level? Maybe not a billion, but like definitely 100 million. How can I get to 100 million? And so I'll tell you mine, and then I want to hear yours.
Okay.
Oh, I become friends with a guy down in Miami named Tom Cruise. Not star Tom Cruise, different guy. I think I talked about him before. I think this guy is like, he lives like the building across the street from me, and super smart guy, very successful, and he teaches Section 8. He's been in Section 8 for I think 8 years or 9 years now.
Wow.
And Section 8 is basically just buying up fairly cheap real estate and turning it into affordable housing. And the government pays most of the rent, like 90 or sometimes 99% of the rent. And all you have to do is just like it's guaranteed money. And as long as you keep it up and it's working, like you don't really have to worry about tenants because your tenants are only paying you between like 50 and like $200 a month.
Interesting.
And he makes, I think, like six or 700. This is posted, so I can say this: 6 or 700,000 a month in net rents, and he's gotten near like very close to like 9-figure offers from some people on his portfolio. And so
Yeah.
I talked about this a couple of days ago. I decided that I think I really want to get into something like this because I mean, I'm sitting on a big pile of cash right now, and
Yeah.
it's not doing anything. And so he got to where he's at. I think in 8 years it took him to get to where he is, and he didn't start making the kind of money that I'm making right now. And so I have all kinds of capital to deploy into this, and my goal is to get to 100K a month net rents by the end of 2024.
Okay.
So by the end of the year next year, I want to be at. So that means I have to spend about 2.4, 2.5 million, which sounds crazy, but it's not that crazy.
Yeah, it's not that crazy.
And I think that this is going to be the thing to get to 100 million, hopefully in the next 5, 6 years. And
Dude, I
so
love
then
that.
roll it again, maybe like once I get there, like who knows what'll be available. Maybe like AI will actually be good and worth, working on or something like that. And
That's
so
sick.
I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm curious if you have a similar sort of not game plan because it doesn't have to be like that mapped out, but is there anything you would do? Like, so let's say you exit from structured, right?
Okay.
Make a big bag. How would you turn that into like $500 million?
It's interesting. Yeah. By the way, that's awesome. I know you texted me the other day that you're going to do this, and I think you fully should. That's awesome. And it helps that you have cash and you know this guy and he's already kind of paved the way. So it's just like there's like a proven playbook that you're gonna get at your hands, right? That's at your disposal. That's sick. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, dude, like I think I used to be like obsessed with the notion of being like a billionaire. Right? Like that's what I wanted right after I figured out that I wasn't going to be a professional athlete. I'm like, all right, well, I want to be a professional athlete of the business world. I want to be a billionaire. And then I thought about like what it takes and the type of stuff that you have to do or build. And it's like, I don't know. Like, not that it's not interesting. Like, sure, I'd love to have $1 billion. That'd be great. But I don't know that I'm willing to like sacrifice the things that you need to do to be like a billionaire. So I don't know. Like, I think my ultimate goal is like continuing to build kind of online cash flowing businesses like this LinkedIn service. Kind of something like this media type company that I'm building between like the social channels and the social networks I'm building, the agency. So I think like if I was to do it, like I think there's a couple ways. Like one, this network that I'm building on LinkedIn, I think is like insanely valuable, dude. Like across like my account now plus the pages I own, I think we're north of like 500,000 followers, and like we're gonna be at like 1 million followers probably in the next like 10 to 12 months. And it kind of like following like the whole fuck Jerry thing where like they built like the kind of model for Instagram. Like I was gonna say the mafia, but like the mafia for Instagram.
Hey, I haven't heard you swear in like 6 months.
Well,
So that
that was just because their name's Fuck Jerry. I haven't said the F word otherwise. But Jerry Media, the big account I think was Fuck Jerry.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, I just said it 4 more times than I've ever said in my whole life, which was four. But and I think like what they were doing, right? They were getting huge brand deals, right? So I think like between deals to like promote affiliate things, someone that might want to come in and buy this network. I think like building like that online real estate is super interesting to me, building that on other channels. I don't know that anyone would ever buy like my newsletter or that business just because it has like my name and my face. But I think I mentioned this to you before. Like I invested in a car wash. I've been doing some stuff in the stock markets. We've been looking at some, real estate plays where this group that we're involved with, they're legit. They're getting into things like hotels. They're going to do things like apartment complexes soon. Like they're building out almost like industrial type offices. So yeah, I think like real estate is a good component. It's like one of those like you're gonna get rich probably slowly the way that I'm doing it because I'm investing like in a fund and they pay out 10, 20, 30% depending on performance, right? I've got a couple like angel deals, whether it be like a Send Lane deal or a triple whale. So I think I've got like a lot of bets that could probably do low, mid, high seven figures each, right? So I'm kind of just diversifying across that and hoping that like the sum of that ends up being a nice number. But I'm okay not being a billionaire or making that much money. Like I just like the life that I'm living. You like the life that you're living. And sure, if we added a few extra zeros behind it, that I wouldn't mind that.
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know. I guess you're right. Like it doesn't really matter that much. It's more just about the fact that it's like, how do you make it last forever?
Yes.
Like
That's that's a good point.
how can I build something now that'll feed me when I'm 50?
Yeah.
There's a
Is
lot of things that we work on that are great cash flow plays, but maybe it only lasts like 5 to 8 years, which is good. Most businesses don't even last that long. But if you have an opportunity, it's important to just like do the best you can with it and just see like how much rain you can bring down.
yeah, no,
But
that's
the last question was, what would you do if you did get there? Like, do you ever think about like where you like if you do become a billionaire, let's say by some like lightning strikes and you just all of a sudden get like $1 billion in your bank account and you're 50 years old, do you continue working? Do you do something, philanthropic? What do you do?
yeah, it's interesting. That's funny. I was gonna ask you, is there anything that you can't do right now that you would want to do? And like I think that kind of is like the same but different question. It's like I don't know if there's anything I would do differently right now than I'm doing, right? Like I don't really care about buying like a private jet. Like obviously I can't buy a private jet right now, but like, maybe if that was something I cared about, that was something that like I couldn't do that maybe I would want to do. I don't know. The main things that I care about, right, is like the house that I live in. My wife is like working on, of course, yet another project for the house. Like we're gonna do some cool stuff for the backyard for our daughters. So that's gonna be cool. Um, you know, I've been thinking a lot about like third homes, like, do those make sense? Like, if and when we're ready, like, there's these websites out there that allow you to buy like fractional ownership, or you could buy like an eighth, a quarter, a half, maybe even the entire home potentially. Or like, does that make sense? Does timeshares make sense? So I don't know really what I would do differently. I don't really care about like fancy cars. Like, I'll probably buy something more than I have now in the future, but like, I don't know. If I was to do it, philanthropy, though, to answer your question, would definitely be a big one. That's something that I've been doing, most of my kind of teenage adult life. So that's a big one. But I think more on the philanthropic side, I'd probably want to do something more around like a social enterprise, almost kind of like what you're talking about, like on the personal side, like how do you set something up where 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, it's still producing. I like the social enterprise angle because if whether you sell a good or a service and then you then spit that money back into doing well, you have a sustainable method outside of just asking people all the time for money. So I think I would do something kind of between like business and nonprofits that like you generate profits and revenue, but that then is siphoned off to a charity or cause that's important to me. So I'd probably do that. I don't know, maybe vacation more. I probably would definitely still be working. Maybe more angel investing. I feel like you have to be like really, really wealthy to do angel investments that make sense. Like right now, I feel like angel investing is just a waste of money. I really do. I feel like most of the companies that I've invested in are great companies, but dude, just like it's
5K check.
so hard. Was that?
5K check doesn't really like move mountains for you at this point.
Yeah, 5K, 10K, 20K, like whatever that amount, like that, it's just like a volume game. Like you need decent sized checks in a lot of companies. And like I don't really feel like doing the research right now to write 5, 10, 20, 30, 40K checks and then hope and pray that it turns into something. So I don't know. I've been like just really focused right now on like maximizing time actually like offline, like not working. That's like the season that I'd say I'm in. I don't know. It's funny. Q4 used to be always be like the craziest season. I'm trying now to go the opposite. I'm trying to make it the most relaxed season yet. What about you?
Bro, it's funny, man. You said the first thing you said was you don't want a jet. I would say try it and then see what you think. Dude, me and it was six of us. It was me, Ben, Sanjay, Danny, someone else that I can't say, and a videographer. We flew to Tampa, short flight, legit 55 minutes in the air from Opelika to Tampa's little private airport. Bro, it was crazy. Like I've never done this before. We just wanted to do it because it was Ben's birthday. And like it was not that expensive. Like
It was sick.
it was sick. It wasn't like a prop plane. Like it was a big enough. It was like a little Cessna. And we pull up to Opelika. We get out of the Uber with all of our stuff. There's a guy who looks like a pilot standing outside, and he looks at me and he goes, "Are you Mason?" Because I was the guy that organized it. I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "I'm Brian. I'm gonna be your pilot today." And I was like, "Good to meet you." He's like, "Is this everybody?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You guys ready to go?" I'm like, "Yeah." And we literally walk through the building onto the tarmac. We get on the plane, we leave. Like no bag check, no ID check, no customs, no security, nothing, bro. Nothing. It was crazy. So I'm buying a jet 100%. If I got $1 billion, yes, I'm buying a jet, bro.
Amazing. Well, dude, I just want my friends that I'm already friends with to get rich, and then I'll just go do cool shit with them because they want me along for the ride.
Yeah,
Um,
you can buy a jet, bro.
yeah, it's funny. When I went golfing with Jake, who's for those listening, one of my business partners, he is like dead set on getting like a company plane. When we get to a certain level, like he's like dead set on having like fractional ownership of a plane. He was telling me like how you do it and how much it costs and all this, and he's like dead set on that. It's like, dude, we'll go golfing in Montauk and we'll take it here. We'll go golfing there. So he just started getting into golf. Our other partner, Nick, just started getting into golf, and they know I'm obsessed. So all their conversations now are like, hey, if you just bring in a few more leads, we're gonna take you golfing. Or hey, if we just do this much more revenue or this much more EBITDA, we're gonna get a jet. We'll take you golfing. So it's just funny, like when you learn about like what your partners want. Like I don't really care about the jet, but he knows I care about the golfing. He goes, we'll just take my jet to your golf. Like, that type of thing. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Tell Jake to just charter it, bro. It's like cheap. You can do that.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, I splurged the other day and I upgraded to economy plus. Like that's like the max that I've done. Like I don't fly first class. My wife is like, we're never flying an economy again to Europe. It was miserable. So I don't know. Like,
Oh, no, Europe. You have to fly first if you're going to Europe.
yeah, we're just so I don't know. I'm just so different. Like I didn't grow up with a ton or much, and I think it kind of like set for me like do anything slightly above average is amazing. So I'm sure maybe that will change. And as my daughters get older, like my daughter really wants to go to the next Taylor Swift concert because my wife went. It's like, well, my daughters are already building expensive habits, so I'm not splurging on myself, so I can splurge on them.
I like that. All right. Your daughter becomes a billionaire. She's set for life. All right,
Yeah, yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Long one. I think this might be the longest one we've ever done, but I think we need to
It's
fit two.
great.
We haven't talked in so long, but this is a great one. You cool if I wrap it?
Right. Yeah.
Buddy. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is Cardinal Mason. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Cardinal Mason on IG, Ecom Chase Diamond, No A and Diamond. Everywhere there is B2B influencers, he's there too. Thanks for
Cheers,
hanging out.
brother.
Bye.